Right, we're here. Birds on a Friday night on Waitley get the tans through walking through Brook. There's your Airfold spray tan, that yellow shit. Save on sunbeds. We'll just have to go past this fence and in and round. Right, the dull one is iron. The high pitch is the precious metal. Oh, it's going reet mad. It's reet excited. Roman helmet, probably not. I've found all sorts, medals, tokens. You just don't know. I'm not in it for the money. I just like the relics. I'll keep everything. Forget money. Well, obviously, if I've got something and it's worth an absolute fortune, then I'll get rid of it and then give all money to charity. My charity. Nay. Foil's the worst, you know. Tin foil, it's the exact same reading as gold. You can't discriminate it. People don't want to live here because it's such a bad name, like, but they don't know it until they have lived here. We're all skint and we have to go out and make use of our lives other than sitting there sulking. I could take you right to somewhere, some places in these woods, right? That's just without the people like my little brother, for a start. He drowned when he was 2. I was only little myself. My mum said, take your brother on front, like, you know, on bikes, all there till summer's day. And I turned my back for a second and he'd gone. See that? Look at the size of it. Watch when the noise starts. Whoa. Big. I mean, I've had my issues with it, but you know what? It's just been his birthday actually, 18th of October. He loves buzzies and soldiers, so I'm always looking out for wooden soldiers and buzzies, like, you know. I'm Peter Pan, me, mate, tell you. The boy that never grew up. The kid will get, like, say, oh, they've been to Disney World. 5 kids that year have been to Disney World. Right then. So it's just like an holiday, yeah, it's a norm. It's the rat race. Right, we'll take them in woods, dig a massive hole, get a little bunker going and that, a little doomsday prepping den. You know, for when zombie apocalypse kicks in. You know, get them on play. They're all for it. They start collecting tins of beans. The mums are going mad. They're all trying to have the supper. Where's them bloody beans gone again? There's the new estate, see? Massive. My mate, he's been making a fortune off that.
Working on it or other
working on it. Fucking rinsing it. So when the water pressure comes up and over, and people say to me, where'd you get things from? You know, mate, I don't know where or how, but all I know is they come to me for a reason, because if the stars align or you believe in anything like what, you know, everyone has the belief. Something brings stuff to me because they know it'll be looked after.
Hello, my name's Steve Pycroft. I'm a composer, a drummer and a filmmaker. And I am a freelance worker. I've been working in music since about 2009 when I graduated from the University of Manchester. I studied music there, did an undergraduate degree, and then I did a master's in composition. And after that I started playing in bands. I'm a drummer, so I started playing in bands. I played at weddings, I did a few theatre shows touring around the UK, and I set up an orchestra called Kaleidoscope Orchestra. And I still run that orchestra today. I write music for the orchestra, I record the players and make videos, and we post all the content on YouTube. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that orchestra, as that's kind of my main focus nowadays. I spent several years, you know, playing these shows and gigs with other bands, but I knew I really wanted to focus on this one thing, this idea of an orchestra that bridges the gap between classical music and other genres. So things like house music, electronic dance music, drum and bass, things like that. I was always fascinated while I was at university with friends of mine who were on the classical degree, who didn't know about things like drum and bass, and also producers who I met who were producing that kind of music, who were fascinated with the classical world. And I just thought it'd be really cool for those worlds to kind of interact more, you know, for orchestras to play music by these producers, and for producers to learn a bit more about how an orchestra works and maybe integrate that in their music. And so we set up the orchestra in about 2011, and I had a friend called Dave who really wanted to set up an orchestra that played in different venues, you know, not concert halls and things like that. And because I really wanted to take an orchestra and play this kind of different new repertoire, we thought we should combine the two ideas and set up an orchestra. So we set up Kaleidoscope, and our first kind of major project was a arrangement of Skrillex's music. So Skrillex is an electronic dance music producer. He's very famous now, but back then he was this kind of up and coming, almost underground, with remnants of dubstep, which was really big, kind of big back in 2012. And so I took his music and orchestrated it, and the Kaleidoscope Orchestra players, friends of ours from university and the Royal Northern College of Music, got together and we recorded it. And I was kind of into videography then. I'd bought an SLR camera, and so I asked a few friends who also had cameras to come in and just film the session. And it was a real kind of rush job. It was, I think we spent 4 hours in the studio, which was actually just a kind of rehearsal practice room. And a friend of mine brought a few microphones that he had and his laptop and recorded it. And we just thought, let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can achieve in a short space of time with musicians. And so I'd written the music while I was on tour. I was playing a Johnny Cash tribute show, and I wrote the arrangement while we were in the tour bus up in Scotland, actually, which is actually now where I live. But I wrote this arrangement. Yeah, we got together in May 2011, I think it was, and played it through, recorded it, and I edited the recording and edited the video, and we posted it on YouTube and just thought, let's see what happens. And Skrillex actually got hold of the video and shared it with his 1 million followers or something, and it really kind of launched our reputation, or our kind of online presence, and gave us that boost. But the main thing was it gave me a boost to kind of pursue this idea. Back then I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was saying yes to everything, which is great. It's something that I would recommend to anyone starting out in music, is to just say yes, and not be too kind of realistic about things, because I think the thing that gets in the way is that realistic brain. It's the ego tunes in and says, you can't make a living doing that, you can't do this, you can't do that. But that experience with the Skrillex suite really told me that, you know, this was a good enough idea to pursue. And over the years I've spent less time doing it and then more time doing it, dependent on other work. And it was only in the last couple of years that I decided that I didn't want to do all these jobs that I didn't really enjoy so much. You know, I wanted to focus on writing, and since I've done that, I think the online presence and the kind of impact that we've had as an orchestra has really gone huge, really. I think you really do get out what you put in, and because I've spent a lot more hours working on the orchestra or on projects, we've had bigger results. So we now provide the orchestra for the Cream classical shows, which are often in Liverpool, and we've played at festivals like Creamfields. We've collaborated with high profile artists, and we're currently working with one at the moment, actually, and it's really exciting that we can kind of bridge that gap between classical music and other genres. And so yeah, that's kind of what I do most of the time. I said I'm also into videography. I mean, I kind of, basically when I was younger, I just followed all these hobbies that I loved to do. I loved music and I decided to study that, and I also loved videography, so I always got my hands on cameras and things like that to make silly films with friends to start with, but then started filming my own gigs, which led to me filming gigs for other people, and then obviously it's become a key part of Kaleidoscope Orchestra because we not only record but we film our recording sessions and put them on YouTube, and that's really what's helped to boost my career but also boost the orchestra and leads to these really cool, exciting festivals and travels around the world. So I guess if I was going to give some advice, it would really be to follow what you love to do. Don't think you should be doing something else. You know, people always say that you've got to earn a living and you've got to do this and be responsible, and yes, that's true. But I think those kind of practicalities, those pragmatic things can really get in the way of you doing what you are meant to do, what you love to do. And so I would say follow those things, earn money where you can, but don't give up your dreams and your aspirations for the sake of that, because ultimately it's, for me, writing music and recording music and putting these videos together that gives me happiness, and that's the whole point in life, is to be happy. You don't want to be pursuing what other people say you should be pursuing. You want to pursue what's important to you and what feels right. And I feel I can say that now because the last couple of years I've followed that advice that I've found in books and through other successful people, and it's starting to work. So yeah, follow your own dreams, trust yourself, and surround yourself with people who think the same as you, think in terms of following your passions, and seek out videos on YouTube and books and things like that that promote working hard and following your dreams and passions. It can be a bit of a cliche when people say follow your dreams, but it's true. If you follow what feels right, then great things can happen. And talking about success, I think people always talk about, have you made it in the music industry? Are you successful? And I think the only way you can gauge whether you're successful is how you feel. And if you feel like you're doing what you love doing, then you're successful. I don't think success is what we're told in the media and society, where people say, oh, he's made it big. Okay, yeah, there's pop stars and things like that, but really the only thing that is important is that you feel like you're a success. And I always remember, I'll finish with this, I always remember a drummer friend of mine from Rotherham, which is where I'm originally from. We were once sat around a campfire, and it was a load of drummers actually. My drum teacher organised this get together. It was a load of drummers, and he went round the circle and said, where do you want to be in a year's time? And people were coming up with things like, oh, I want to play big festivals, I want to do this, I want to do that. And a friend of mine called Matt Dabbs, who's a drummer obviously, said, I just want to be doing music every day and enjoying it. And I thought, at the time, I think I was quite young, and I remember thinking, cool. But he's so right. Like, if we can just do what we love doing, if I can just do music every day, then life is great. So yeah, I hope that's been insightful or helpful in some way, or interesting. If you want to check out the stuff that I've worked on, Kaleidoscope Orchestra's on YouTube and Facebook and things like that. So yeah, I hope you're all safe and well during these crazy times. I feel lucky that I've got music, something that I can focus my time and energy on. But I hope you're staying safe, and I hope your family is safe, and I wish you all the best. Thanks a lot.
Hello, my name is Martin Spencer, and I'm the director of WATC, Wigan Autistic Theatre Company. Some of you will know that we were due to perform our show this week, Wheel of Fortune. Sadly, that's not the case due to the situation with COVID-19. But we at Wigan Artistic Theatre Company wanted to still do something to entertain you, especially through these hard times. Members wanted to put a smile on people's faces. So we have put together a series of monologues filmed while members are self-isolating. Just before we show the monologues, I would like to say that Wheel of Fortune will still go ahead, and Wigan Artistic Theatre Company will promise to give you the best production of this show. And it is important to keep British theatre alive, and so when theatre doors do open, please don't be scared, and please support theatre and the arts and local theatre as well. The shows will go on, and stay safe.
I know, it's wrong. It's all wrong. It's like the great stories, the ones that really mattered, full of darkness and danger there was. And sometimes you didn't want to know the ending, because how could the ending be good and so much bad had happened? But in the end, it is only a passing phase. This darkness and even the shadow must come to pass. And a new day will come. And when it does, the sun will shine out the brighter. Those are the stories that stayed with you. Those are the ones that really mattered. The ones that meant something, because even if you were small. But I think I do understand. I know now why the folk in those stories never turned back. Because they was holding on to something. That there's some good in this world, and it's worth fighting for.
Panic sets in. The world's gone crazy. Selfishness, idiocy and death reign the daily news. The world no longer feels governed by the laws of time. Children lost at sea, and now in a different reality. Housework and homework entwined, cooped inside four walls, stirring through the glass windows of an invisible danger. Trapped like the rest of us. Some cry, some pray. We all should embrace. Think of the vulnerable who suffer from mental health, the nurses with their daily shifts, risking their lives to battle the pandemic. Elderly who have lived through much worse and survived. The generation we follow in the footsteps of and will eventually become. And when the years go by, we will look back on this crisis. I would like to think that we'll remember 2020 as a time where we remain hopeful, come together and work as one. A time we came out of with renewed optimism and change, perspectives, new people.
It may be that we touch the happy isles. It may be that the Gulf will wash us down. And though we are not that was, that strengthened in old days moved earth and heaven, that which we are, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will, to strive, to seek, to find and not to yield. I've been thinking about the poem a lot lately, And I think what it means is that while it's tempting to play it safe, the more we're willing to risk, the more alive we are. In the end, what we regret most are the chances we never took. And I hope that explains at least a little of this journey on which I'm about to embark. I've loved every moment here with my KACL family, and with all of you. For the past 11 years, you've heard me say, I'm listening. And you were listening too. And for that, I'm eternally grateful.
Life can be pretty difficult at times. There are a ton of different scenarios that exist in the world. We may all get exposed to some issue that bring us down, emotionally, financially. It can be bullying, losing someone, a career rejection. It can sometimes feel like we are being crushed to death, so much so that we begin to imagine that dying is the best solution. But it doesn't have to be this way. We must never lose hope. There are things that take place among us, humans, that are horrifying and makes you wonder how we are even capable of terrible acts. You cannot allow the goodness that exists in you to fold. You cannot allow the goodness that exists in this world to go unnoticed and be forgotten. You see, if you see something wrong or are experiencing something terrible in your life, you have to give all your power and strength to make it better. Find the solution. It exists because you exist. You are stronger than you may imagine. Much, much stronger and wiser than you even realise. Refrain from taking a darker path, because I promise you there will always come a brighter day. Always. Listen, it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but it will come. When you stay in there long enough, the helplessness you feel will turn to hope, courage, love, positivity, and eventually happiness. There are too many people falling victim to their depressed emotions, and it doesn't have to be this way. We must lift each other up. Let's stop hating one another. Let's stop hating different religions, races, genders, politics. Haven't we all had enough of this in our streets? I believe it's time for change. Change that will bring us back to the soulful human beings we all are. Change that will remind us to respect one another. Change that will make one another's lives much, much better. We are all one big community called human, aren't we? We do not always have to agree with one another, but we must never lose our integrity, class, and simple kindness. It's in our power. Listen, if you know someone in need, do something to help them. Encourage them. Try to make them smile. Give them warmth, connection. Have a conversation. Sometimes that's all any of us need, right? When you overcome your current state of hardship, be sure to pass this message on to someone else, because together we are invincible. Thank you for hearing me out. Let's make a positive difference to this world while we're in it. Yeah? Okay. Does that sound good? Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this monologue. Thank you for listening and watching.
To donate, visit www.theoldcourts.com/donate. All donations mean the world to us, no matter how small. Donations will be used to help us continue our work in arts and culture, and also to offer support to artists and community groups in this extremely difficult time.